It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
And welcome to the realm of geekdom. This is nerd breaking news. Well, folks, we all know the story. Four brave astronauts head up to space and they come back changed forever. We are looking at the second review of the second trailer of the Fantastic Four First Steps that came out just a few days ago. Let's go ahead and get our reaction right here. And let's start off with the kid.
Uh, Way better trailer than the first one. I thought it was way better. Not that the first one was trash. It was good. It gave you more or less what the tone was. This one gave you a lot more with the story. It finally showed Mr. Fantastic his powers. People were complaining about that. It's pretty cool because we talked about the retro aspect of the film, not only the car, but their uniforms. It's the most comic, I guess, close to the comics since Fantastic Four has been in all the films they've done. Um, People are bashing the CGI on the Silver Surfer. Yeah, it's bad, but it doesn't mean that it might be bad when the movie comes out. But yeah, it's bad on the trailer. That's a rare error for the. It was a good trailer. The Fantastic Four, and I'm gonna go a little bit left field here. I guess I'll go for what the trailer said, then I'll go to my left field. The story was pretty cool, right? The Silver Surfer comes in and says, "Who's the protectors?" The theory that we all have for this film is that they're in a different alternate world. They're gonna get waxed by the Galactus, and they're gonna end up in our world. What's pretty cool is that they already said that Sue's pregnant with Franklin Richards. If anybody knows comic books, Franklin Richards is an OP character. I think where the emotional aspect of the film is going to be the fact that they come across the family, obviously the first family of Marvel. But what I'm saying is, I think that they're gonna have to sacrifice something to get to the 616 world that we know of Marvel, and that could be Franklin Richards. I'm saying that, I'm just theorizing. I'm saying that it's not gonna be as simple as, hey, we tried, we got waxed, and we're gonna go 616. No, look what the trailer's giving you. Let's applaud the Fantastic Four. Let's have the thing lift the thing, the car. They're renowned. They're heroes. People love them. They asked Mr. Fantastic, "Hey, can you save the world?" He said, "We're gonna protect you." All this stuff. I think there's gonna be a pretty cool aspect that we're gonna see the heroes lose, and I think that's gonna make it unique. Because normally we're gonna figure out a way to beat this guy, dude. Silver Surfer should wax the Fantastic Four, irrespective of being a girl or a guy. And then Galactus, you have no shot. There's no shot to beat that man. So I think if they go the route that I think is gonna happen, where they're the heroes, they're loved, and it affects Reed so much that the fact that he said that to the public, but they lose, that's going to be a unique Marvel different element that they're bringing into this film, and I think that's pretty cool. Hey, we lost, and we're going to take that emotional baggage to 616. That's going to be awesome. My left field was, I'm worried about this film as we get closer to July, not only because the dinosaurs, because Cal, because all the Gauntlet, it's because of what's happening with Thunderbolts. I'm worried about this because TK mentioned this 2 months ago. And we got to go give him his flowers. TK mentioned that if Thunderbolts doesn't hit what above the projections of where it should be hitting, then now we're getting to the point where Daredevil didn't do good in the viewership. Brave New World was utter trash. And now you have Thunderbolts, where we all think is going to be a good movie. It's not getting the word of mouth. The movie comes out next Thursday, guys. This is not a movie that comes out 2 months from now. It comes out next Thursday. And the projection, according to the Variety report, was $70 million for opening weekend. That's not Marvel Light. Marvel Light's that one in front of it, that 10, that triple digits. And so, because that's happening with Thunderbolts, and TK called it, I'm getting a little worried as we get closer to the Fantastic Four box office wise, because there was even a thing where on Superman Day last week, they said that Japan could start buying pre-release Superman tickets in 2 weeks. And that's never happened before in Japan. So now you're starting to hear all these things going on. But again, that's just my left field take. The trailer, it did its job. I really didn't see anything bad. Again, the CGI, whatever. People are gonna complain all the time. You know how I feel about Pablo Pascal. Get him out of the movie. People are gonna complain about Sue, right? She's the main star. Listen, you know how I feel about that either. But it didn't say this movie. Oh, I can't watch this movie anymore. No, the trailer did its job. I want to watch it. I'm just more worried about the financial aspects because of with Thunderbolts.
Eagle.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the kid here. The trailer did its job. Give us a little bit more information about what's gonna happen, how it's gonna look like. The powers were in display. You saw a little bit of like, how is the pregnancy gonna affect them? For some reason, I just saw, Richard's face go like any other person in this world being told that he's gonna be a parent, and that is for the first time, and he's just like, well, my life went to a whole different dimension, and I probably wasn't asking. Um, I think his acting was good there. I'll say this: it's good to have him on a movie. He's not the guy that I'm running to go see a movie. So goes along with a little bit with what the kid was saying. I'm not trying to bash him too much because I have liked him in other roles. Um, I'm just trying to see what it's gonna be about here. Um, but I don't know. Maybe he's just getting too famous, and he's being plugged in every single movie that they can find. And sometimes that doesn't go too well. That doesn't bode too well. Nobody's here gonna compare him to the great Marvel Moneymaker, in ¿cómo se llama? Robert Downey Jr. Is not that. He was not brought here for that. And then I don't know. I thought I was gonna see more for him. Maybe we just have to see the movie to get the final thoughts on that. And then I also thought that Kirby, I forgot her name, but the actress,
Vanessa?
Vanessa. There we go, Vanessa Kirby. Very dominant in her role. Very assertive. I think that's gonna be a lot of it in the movie. I kind of like it. I don't know where it's going. Um, but I like what I saw for her. Maybe because I like her as an actress. Um, yeah, I do. Yeah. So yeah, that's it for me.
Professor.
All right, so two things. First, how many of you all watched Last of Us? Well, if you did, if you Google Pedro Pascal right now, you would see that he has currently hit peak popularity once again because of what just happened on that show, which further explains exactly why Marvel casted him in this movie. Because when girls see him, they're going to be like, oh my God, it's America's dad. Second point is, I didn't even know the second trailer was out when it came out. I was sitting down here working, minding my business. I get a text from my girlfriend. Oh my God, Fantastic Four trailer. Have you seen it? It looks so good. I was like, well, that's a new thing. She has never texted me something like that before. She is very excited about this female Sue Storm. She's not a comic book nerd. She doesn't care about Fantastic Four as a whole. The idea of having a pregnant character resonates with her. And then after that, she goes, and Pedro Pascal as the husband's a perfect choice. Boom. So again, who did they do this casting for? Not the three of us, for our girlfriends. That's why. And do you know why they did that? Going back to the kids' point, are Marvel characters currently profitable? No, they're not. If you're looking at these box offices, it's not going well. If you're looking at these Disney Plus shows, it's not going well. What reliable market do you go to when things aren't going well for you financially? You either go for women or black people. It's very simple. And as you see from the current environment, black people may not be the best option right now. So they're going towards women with the understanding that women alone got that Barbie movie across the mile with minimal marketing at first, and women will make sure that their boyfriends watch these movies. Case in point, today I was minding my own business. I found out we were going to go watch Sinners. So what did we do today? We went to watch Sinners. That's what happens when you're in a marriage or a good committed relationship with a woman who wants to watch something, you will find yourself watching it too. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. So at the end of the day, for all those nerds out there complaining about this movie, it does not matter what you think. The men who have girlfriends or wives will see this movie because they tell them to. And the other ones who just want to see a Fantastic Four movie are going to see it too. And when you combine those numbers together, that's likely how they're going to try to get their box office number. And it's a better strategy than what they were doing before. What they were doing before wasn't working. Thunderbolts looks like a great movie, doesn't it? I think we all agree on that. But what we all agree on is it probably won't make that much money. So what does that tell you about the strength of the franchise right now? It's just not there. So get over it. That's all.
I think
So I think the only thing I will add on top of everything that you guys have said, honestly, is that I'm still not too worried about the Fantastic Four. This looked amazing. This looks great. This is going to sell for, just the general fans who just want to enjoy a Marvel film in the middle of the summer. I think it does this job. It does a great job to market to women because that's who they're marketing to. I think they're doing great. Thunderbolts, I think it's going to be a great film. The numbers don't look great right now, but I'm telling you, once people see it and word of mouth goes out, if this film is great, it's going to build up for the Fantastic Four. So we need to keep an eye for the Thunderbolts and see how that film is going to come out. But if it comes out to be as great as we all believe it's going to be, I'm telling you that's going to go ahead and give it the Fantastic Four a boost.
But as of right now, it doesn't look promising. That's my argument. Right now, the ticket sales for Thunderbolts, I'm based on your theory, PK. If we're going to put the equation right now, it's not too confident for the Fantastic Four. And then several
but they still have time.
It's next week.
Again,
it's here.
I am telling you right now, when people start seeing this film and start realizing how good this film really is, word of mouth is going to get out. People are going to start showing up. Okay. It might not show up in the opening weekend numbers, but it will definitely show longer term. Okay. I'm not saying $1 billion film, but I'm telling you, it probably is going to be a really good film, and it's going to translate to Fantastic Four.
So let me rebut a few things that the professor said because he's being disingenuous to a degree. One,
that came out of nowhere.
he mentioned the Last of Us with Pablo Pascal. Go Google the fan and critic reviews for this season, please. But again, he's omitting what's going on this season.
What does that do with anything?
Meaning that the great Pablo Pascal is getting destroyed by fans and critics.
The critics, it just happened like 3 hours ago.
No, I'm saying prior to this episode, prior to the one you just saw today.
It's been 2 episodes.
Yeah, and I'll send you the reviews. I read them.
Who cares about 2 episodes? It's been 2. You gotta wait till the season's over for 2 episodes.
Hey, Daredevil, we saw it from the first episode. It was trash. So I'm just okay, but I'm just saying from what I have evidence to show that this season is not as good as last season based on what people are saying. I'm not saying
it's not over yet.
So far, that's what I'm saying. So far, that's
just started.
The whole Paulo Pascal thing, he's not exactly hitting a home run every single time. The Mandalorian, it actually got worse every season. Who's the star of the Mandalorian? Oh, that's right. Beta Pablo Pascal, who can't do a masculine role. Third thing. Wasn't it called the MCU? Wasn't that the biggest thing in the last 3 years?
That's what the incels called it.
Correct, not me. I'm not saying. I'm saying what the Marvel fans were saying.
No, what the incels called it.
It was the MCU.
The women that don't like men called.
I'm not saying
this. Called it that.
I'm not saying this, but I'm saying that there's already massive videos out here on the idea that Sue Storm is going to be another version of the MCU of what people were complaining about the last 3 or 4 years.
Who cares about them? They don't watch anything anyways. They have no money.
I'm just giving you.
They're broke. They have no jobs.
That's right. I'm just giving you that, irrespective of what your girl might think that she. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good trailer. I'm saying that you have to be objective here. It hasn't worked out that strategy for Marvel hasn't worked out the last 4 to 5 years.
Here's my question for you.
When you see Sue Storm in the trailer saying, when the Silver Surfer comes in, who are you got the protectors of it? And she answers a lot. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I'm not saying me. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that because it's reminiscent of what happened the last 3 to 4 years.
Right. Here's my question to you: did they show up to watch Daredevil? No. What's
Nobody
the
did.
last thing that these people showed up to watch? What was it?
Deadpool and Marvel and Wolverine.
Correct.
Why?
Nostalgia. That's
Why?
about it.
Okay.
But if you don't have nostalgia, they don't even show up.
Okay.
So who are we talking about?
Another reason why people showed up to that one because people wanted to see it. It's comic book lore, Daredevil, Wolverine. Another reason why is because it went away from the MCU that people were complaining about. It went away from that strategy. And unfortunately, this feels like Sue Storm is the leader of the Fantastic Four.
Okay. Did they show up for Ant-Man? No.
Oh,
it's nostalgia. If it's not nostalgia,
what happened to that story though? You're missing one point. What happened to that story?
It sucked.
Correct. And what was the reason why
what about Deadpool Wolverine story? That one sucked even worse.
Correct, but it made $1 billion. The idiots loved it.
Because nostalgia. The answer is nostalgia.
Correct.
Multiverse of Madness. What was it? Nostalgia. That story sucked too.
Correct. And people were complaining about what in the Doctor Strange 2? What were they complaining about? Outside of the story. Who was the sidekick? A girl.
Correct. About her. They saw it anyways, but they saw it anyways, didn't they?
The Marvels.
But
hold on. But Doctor Strange 2 was actually underperformed. It had Stan Raimi. It had the hype for the first one. Hold on. You're being disingenuous here. Everybody hated that movie. Calm down.
It sucked. But how much money did it make?
It didn't make the money that Marvel wanted it to. It made only like 600 something mil.
I think it made about 800 or something mil.
It wasn't $1 billion. It was the beginning of the end.
It wasn't $1 billion, correct.
It was the beginning of the end for the Marvel.
Because
the Marvels. You like the Marvels. People hate that movie.
They do.
People disdain.
They hate women, yes. At a certain point, we just need to feel
That's what I'm arguing.
Saying that some of these men just hate women.
Correct.
We should just be able to say these things.
Correct.
And at the same time, too, what we also know about these men is they don't have enough money on their own to support what they actually like. So at the end of the day, the question is, do you make nothing or do you just do your best? Because when you're looking at it, they should be all over Daredevil. That should be their jam.
Yeah.
But they're not even watching that. Did you know the Acolyte has better views than Daredevil does? That's crazy. Exactly. Crazy. So again, if the Acolyte, the thing that they hated, did better than Daredevil, who's the problem? They are.
Well, they were.
Some men just hate women, and that needs to be something that people openly say. And we need to just own that.
And I think that unfortunately, I don't think it's going to have a big impact. You made a great point financially. I'm just saying there's going to be a fraction of MCU fans that's been in the last 4 to 5 years because we've been hearing about this. There hasn't been a thing that we. The thing is, Professor, we can't say two things that can be right. Right? You could say it's not really going to affect the box office. That's probably true. But at the same time, it has affected the box office. So you see what I'm saying? There's people who are openly have disdain against female superhero, which I don't understand because Sue Storm has been around for 60 years. The problem is people don't like the comments. People don't like the comments that Vanessa Kirby said last month, where she said that she's not going to be a housewife in the 60s. It rubbed people the wrong way. And the whole Johnny Storm comment. Remember, Johnny Storm openly said that he's not going to be the playboy. And people were like, that's not Johnny Storm.
Pick almost any woman who has done an action movie in the last 10 years, and there has been some comment they have made that some portion of the fan base doesn't like, and that's the whole reason why the movie's trash. At what point do we ignore the people that don't have money? At what point do we ignore the people that don't have money? These people don't have money. We know they don't have money because they can't even support what they like. So all they can do is trash everything because they don't have money to go to the movies. That is not true.
But even that is not true. If they can't even support like watching Daredevil,
exactly. They don't even have Disney Plus. They don't even have. Clearly, they have shown you they don't have Disney Plus. If you can't afford Disney Plus, you can't afford to go to the movie theater. So, what part of the fan base are we talking about? The brokest of the broke.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that minority of that group is so loud, unfortunately, on social media that obviously we're here on this podcast talking about it.
Yes.
But that's what they want.
I'm saying it has been a thing. That's all I'm saying. It has been a thing. Yes. People were complaining about it. And the fact that they see, because remember, the same thing happened with I know you hate the movie, but the same thing happened with Snow White. Snow White was a very Disney version modern take of what they believe Snow White was in 2025. It didn't work. People liked the old school stuff. And so to your point, the people that liked it, Professor, didn't show up.
The thing is, we don't even know.
This
We
film.
don't even know what Snow White was about because not a single human being watched it.
I
We
get
don't
it.
know if
But
it
what
was
I'm saying,
woke, not
I get
woke.
it.
No one's seen it.
I
We
get
don't know.
it.
We don't know what's in it.
But the old Disney purists, the people that love Disney hardcore, they were
They're dead.
offended what happened with Snow White. What
Those
I'm
people are
arguing
dead.
is, what I'm arguing is to your point, they didn't support the film. The liberal people didn't support the film. The same thing could be said about this movie.
No, because when you're looking at Snow White has no fans. There is no. There
The
is. There
Fantastic
is
Four
no
were the
real-
biggest scrubs in Marvel the last 40 years. Come
Say
on.
it again?
The Fantastic Four were the biggest scrubs in the last 40 years. Come
But
on.
TK's a Fantastic Four fan. Fantastic Four has fans. Maybe not of the movies, but of the comic books and characters. Snow White, in terms of the fan base and Disney, minuscule. So small.
I don't know about that. The Disney
We
hardcore
do.
fans. I don't know about that. There's a
Let's-
lot of. Hold on. I will make a legitimate argument that the last 20 years there's been more Snow White fans than the Fantastic Four were a laughing stock before the MCU became the MCU.
Right. But look at what you had to do. You had to compare Snow White against Fantastic Four. No. What I'm saying is Snow White against the other Disney princesses gets waxed so many times over. Most girls would rather be Cinderella, Moana.
And had they followed the Disney formula that they wanted and not change it to the modern take, I'm not saying me because I'm not a Snow White fan. It would have not bombed the manner in which it bombed. It had to. The same
We
thing.
don't even know that because one, we don't know what's in the movie at all because no one's. Have you seen it? I haven't seen it. No one's seen it.
But I read the story.
That's about it. No one, but no one knows what
I'm
it
assuming it's the same story, right?
They changed it up.
What they change?
She's now the leader, and she wants to do a rebellion against so Gal Gadot's character.
She's Princess Leia,
and she doesn't. She took the love element out of the movie, which is a huge thing in the original 1937 version, and there's no prince as opposed to the original 1930s. He's just a dude who's a bandit. They basically did it the female route of kind of like, hey, she's the all-power girl boss thing. And that's not a term. Remember I told you my theory.
Look at what you just said, the female route. Exactly, it's for females, yes.
Correct. And the majority of people did not like that. I'm not saying me. Look at Super Mario Brothers, the movie that came out that made $1 billion. We can make a legitimate argument that Princess Peach was a girl boss in that movie, right? We can make that argument. But she didn't overtake the movie. It was still Mario's movie. People don't like that. To your point, Professor, you made a great point. Because it's a female, people don't like that. People like the idea of, I'm not saying everybody, but there's, especially in today's world, look what's going on there, especially with Marvel, dude. A lot of people hate it. Oh, why did you have to include the Wasp? Why is part 3, Ant-Man's daughter is the one that creates the issues in Quantumania? It wasn't Ant-Man. He was just chilling. People didn't like Disney, I guess, approach to the last 5 years of what they were doing with that. And I'm just saying we have to be conscientious that the same people who didn't like that, we have to be objective, are not going to like this. Sue Storm is clearly the main character in this movie. That's
what I'm saying. But the thing is that we're using Snow White in the comparison. Those are two completely different things. Because in the case of Snow White, you're talking about a character that has completely fallen apart as the country has become more diverse. So when you're looking at the natural Snow White fan base, it's just not there. It just isn't. Like so when you're considering making a movie for a character that only a small sliver of the population cares about, you're walking in with an L to begin with. That's one thing entirely different than this. When you're looking at this, and when you're looking at Marvel's fan base, to your point, there are people that have a hard time with women being able to speak in movies, women actually having roles, where they're actually doing something to affect the actual plot. Because the way that we grew up, Black and female characters are in these movies, but they don't actually do anything to further the story at all. So the idea that Scott Lang's daughter would be smart and would actually know how to put together a machine offends a certain portion of the population. But if it's your job to create a product that makes money, why? Or who don't have the money to pay, they have to create something that can further their intellectual property, both in the theater and with toys. You can't do that just by having a movie where literally Scott Lang has all the lines and drives everything himself. It doesn't work.
They
Going
did it
back to
part
the
one. Part
Eagle,
one was way better than part three.
but watch this. Going back to the Eagle, Mission Impossible is a prime example of what I'm talking about. Mission Impossible is a franchise where it's an amazing franchise, amazing visually, one of the best franchises on earth. Does it have lasting ability beyond Tom Cruise's character? No, because he drives every single thing you see on the screen. So it doesn't matter the names of the people around him. Eagle, yes. Can you name the characters around Tom Cruise in those movies?
He can. He's a fan.
Can you?
Ben's Rhyme, the guy from London. I
No.
remember
The
his
names
name.
of their characters. Exactly. You don't even know the names of the. That is the reality of traditional movie making. You cannot make money consistent intellectual property way that way. It doesn't work. So all these stupid fans, X whatever, who are complaining, again, they're movies that don't have nostalgia. They can't even sell.
And I'm going to add on top of that, because if we're going to go ahead and go into the whole purist comic that she shouldn't be the centralist and this and that, she is the emotional and the central character of the Fantastic Four in the comic books. Whether you guys like it or not, she is the anchor. She's the heart of the family. And quite honestly, you could even say that she's one of the more powerful heroes in in Marvel comics. You know, she really is. She really is. So they're just gonna have to get over it and realize, like, look, this is a film where we're gonna get a comic book that is gonna play a little bit closer to what Sue Storm really is. And yeah, it might feel like it's the MCU, as the kid said, but it really isn't.
She's never been that person though. You see what I'm arguing?
She has.
Like, but not in 1961. That's what I think the fans are arguing, because
None
this
of us
is a
were alive in
retro.
1961.
But this is a retro
Comic
film.
books characters evolve over the years.
Correct.
Like Superman didn't fly in his first comic book.
Correct, but he was still that essence of the Boy Scout from Kansas. She was a home wife. What's it called? She was staying home mom, wife. The joke was, for the last 40 years, that Sue Storm was basically like a behind the scenes. She was a bench player. So
in the comics, why did they change it?
So two things could be true. Reed Richards is still the leader of the Fantastic Four. Sue Storm is what drives the story. Two things can be true. Unfortunately, what people are saying is that she's driving the story and she's also the leader based on the trailer, and it rubs people the wrong way. That's what some fans are saying. And let's put a preface here. The majority of the people love this. The majority of the people like the trailer. Mm-hmm. I like the trailer. We all like the trailer. I'm just saying, welcome to my world. We deal with that over there in DC. And unfortunately, Vanessa Kirby is taking the L for some fans, not everybody, because the trailer's making it seem it's the Sue Storm show featuring the Fantastic Four. And I'm saying, who cares? Get Pablo Pascal out of there.
But maybe Marvel's doing what DC should have done the entire time. The mistake DC made is they entertained nonsense for too long, and now you can't get rid of these people. Just like in real life, when people say nonsense, you tell them to shut up and move on. Like it's the exact. It has to be the exact same way with these things here. Otherwise, when you're looking at the product that we're going to get, it's not only not going to make sense, but it's going to be tailor-made towards such a small group of angry people that you're going to get stories that don't say anything, like some of the movies that we've gotten recently. It's like when you look at Multiverse of Madness, I think it's trash. Deadpool Wolverine, I think it's trash. These movies are trash because these studio heads are so scared of these fans, they don't want to actually do anything to make them a little bit upset. So as a result, you get something that might make money, but you look at it, you're like, I would never watch that movie again. It can't be like that. So instead, when people say things that don't make any sense, we just got to stop and say, you know what, man, I'm sorry. But we had two Fantastic Four movies, not one, but two, where Reed Richards was the main character, and they sucked. 3, you're right, 3. They sucked so bad that we looked at Jessica Alba and we said, dang, I wish she had more lines. Remember? Has anyone ever asked for a sequel to that Rise of the Silver Surfer movie? No. Why? Because it sucked.
Also, it was just bad acting overall. Everybody got really bad acting. It was goofy. It was
Because
cheesy,
there's no story.
and they tried really hard with the second one with Sue Storm and the Silver Surfer relationship, and that was the best part of the movie. Their
Yes.
relationship. And then you watch part one with Doctor Doom, you rolled your eyes because you're like, of course she's dating Doctor Doom. Anyways, but and then you watch the one that Jaws Trank did in 2015, Fan Four Stick, one of the worst comic book films ever made. But again, like I said earlier,
who was missing?
A story.
Not just that, but who was missing? If you look at the movie carefully, Sue Storm is barely in it.
I think she was barely in it. I think also it was in such a waste of Miles Teller because we love Miles Teller as an actor. I just think the story was the first 15 minutes was cool with him and the thing, and then it just went completely left field.
You're right, but this is what
loses everyone.
Yeah.
What TK is telling you is that when you're looking at Fantastic Four, Sue Storm is the story. When you try to remove that or put her towards the sideline, the actual root and the core of the story isn't there anymore. So, for example, all the Namor storylines, he goes to take over the surface world. No one cares about that. What they care about is, he's trying to steal Reed Richards' chick. That's a problem.
Which he does.
So you got that.
And of course, it's Paulo Pascal who's going to be taken because Namor is going to take this girl. And I'm going to be saying, it's Paulo Pascal, the ultimate beta in Hollywood. This man cannot do anything masculine. It's Paulo Pascal. So if anything, Disney, blame Paulo Pascal because he just refuses to be an alpha. It is what it is.
But to your point, again, that shows you that's the accurate casting. Because in the comic, it's the exact same thing.
And yet, over 7 people said no to Reed Richards' role, and it only went to Paulo Pascal after 7 people said no. Why?
My honest reason why? Because at the end of the day, they don't want to play a character like that and be supporting, plus sign on to a long-term Marvel contract. And when you're looking at what the most logical plan is to do with the characters, you're separating all of them. So the reality of it is that if you're signing on to be Reed Richards, what you're also signing up for is being a secondary character in like Doctor Strange or Avengers. You're not going to be all that important.
Which is right up Pedro Pascal's alley.
It is. Yes, it is.
Let me be a scrub. Let me be Robin to somebody's Batman, and I'll be gladly to do it. 7 other actors said no to Reed Richards' role. That should tell you what the script, and it's already been, as of last year, already been confirmed by the trades, then it's going to be Sue Storm led the Fantastic Four. So, of course, whenever a female's leading, you got to look for Pedro Pascal somewhere here. Sure. He can't be too far away.
I have no problem.
It works.
If it works, it works.
Yeah, I'm sure the Mandalorian season 3 was amazing. Come on, man.
Actually, have you seen that trailer for the new Mandalorian movie?
No. We saw the Mandalorian show, and we saw that he wasn't an alpha.
Oh no! Did you see the leaked trailer thing that came out a couple days ago?
No, in Star Wars Celebration?
Yep.
No, because Paulo Pascal was somewhat associated with that, and you know how I feel about that.
It looked fire. It's gonna make so much money.
Baby Yoda's gonna make money
at the same time.
Baby Yoda's gonna make money, not Paulo.
Sure. Listen.
Oh, look at that! He's robbing again to somebody else, man.
I'm not mad at
it. Jordan, don't call Pippin. Call Paulo Pascal.
Listen, we're not all meant to be leaders out here, okay? Some of us have to
Paulo Pascal. People, and yet he keeps bamboozling everybody. Massive gnosis that he's actually a Hollywood actor. No, man, he's not. Again,
it works though. People go see his stuff. There's a reason why.
He has somehow convinced people that he's a credible actor. That he's the worst part of the movie. I actually like Vanessa Kirby. I like the thing. People are hating on the thing CGI. He looks cool.
He looks amazing.
I like Johnny Storm from Stranger Things. That's how we got to know him. That's what his big breakout role was. Wow. Paulo Pascal has ruined this movie for me, but I'll still watch it.
Well, here's my question, though. So when you're looking at the Fantastic Four, like, seriously, is Reed Richards the most interesting one of the four?
No.
He's not.
Would you say he's the least interesting one of the four?
I say the thing is, man. The thing is a walking hell. Walking hell. It's clobbering time.
It's Reed Richards is the least interesting character in the Fantastic Four.
I would say Johnny Storm.
This guy's
Sorry,
literally
huh?
researching in all of his comics.
Okay, but
He
his
only
power,
shows up and he's like, I guess I have to show up for the
and
fight.
his power is the brain, right? And nobody beats the brain. He's number one in terms of intellect in the Marvel universe. The thing
No,
has been the thing. Oh, wow, 1A, 1B. The thing has gotten knocked out by everybody. There's an APP out who he isn't beating.
Because he's the muscles, bro. He's the only true muscle they have outside of.
But when you get consistently mocked, you're not the muscle.
But
You
here's
see
the
what-
thing: if you have 2 hours to tell a story, what story can you tell? 2 hours of reading a lab, sitting down like on a chalkboard, like there's
going
just
over
nothing.
science stuff.
There's nothing
None
there.
of us are going to ever understand.
And when you're looking at Fantastic Four, again, I've said it 1,000 times, but a lot of folks, when they think about Fantastic Four, they think about the cartoons. And that's why so many people have it wrong. The reality of the characters is that they are separated all the time. The value of the characters isn't who they are when they're together, it's who they are when they're separated. So when you see Human Torch, he's always with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
When you see Thing, he's always with Hulk or Wolverine.
No. He's getting mocked and then add the adjective.
To be fair, yes, agreed.
Yeah.
When you're seeing Invisible Woman, she's usually hanging out with either the kids or maybe Jean Grey or Storm a little bit.
Or her name. Go ahead.
Or Namor, correct. And when you see Reed, he's usually with either Iron Man or Doctor Strange.
Correct.
And that's just the way it works.
Yes.
Then there's some big crisis. The family comes together. They bring all of the heroes together, and boom. That's how their stories go.
Correct.
But when you're looking at this whole thing, what's important to remember is that individually, they're not stars. Individually, they're all supporting characters. So when you're thinking about the storytelling and all of that, none of them are alpha characters. They're just not. Even Sue to a degree.
You can make some argument for Johnny.
He's never had his own comic book that's been successful. He's never sold anything individually.
Because unfortunately, when you see the Fantastic Four, so remember they've been a laughingstock for a long time. They weren't respected for a long time. Their cartoons sucked in the 90s.
Trash.
Their movies were bad in the 2000s, and then into the 2010s, another L. So again, they need a dub. I think
Johnny. Why not go with what the comic books do, and go with a Sue Storm centric storyline, a storyline that can actually give you potentials for other stuff to happen, and be able to actually guide the story and connect and bind the entire team together.
I think that makes sense. I think that you have to go Sue Storm in terms of the story. I'm saying
yes.
Pedro, no, I said that.
We got one, bro. We got one win.
You said it twice.
No, but I said that. But I said that literally 10 minutes ago.
You did, but you said it twice. Now it's real. Now it's cemented.
No, but I concede that Sue Storm is a way better, more interesting character than Reed Richards. My argument is not Reed Richards. My argument is Pablo Pascal. Like he is.
You hate this man.
Jedi mind tricks everybody to thinking he's a rep. You know what his best role is, and the Eagle will love this. You know what his best role is? Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones.
He dies.
Game of Thrones is the best role he ever had. Oh, what was that in Game of Thrones? An alpha. He was a goon. The Viper.
Actually, so kid, have you ever read the Death of Mr. Fantastic?
No.
Okay, so true story. One of my first comics actually was The Death of Mr. Fantastic. And I've always thought his character was trash, a scrub. Your power is to stretch, miss me.
Yeah, I agree.
There was one comic where he gets stabbed in the chest and ripped apart. And when I tell you that thing floored me, I was like, if they do that in the movie, because Pedro Pascal dies in everything, he always finds a way to die in something. If they kill him off, at least for one of these movies, yo, when I tell you people will cry in the theater, not again.
So basically, he's our version, our generation, Sean Bean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. Very accurate. Yes.
But you see, if you do that, and then you figure out a way to go to 616, and you see Reed again, right? That's the emotion. If it's not Franklin Richards that you lose by switching alternate realities, and Paulo Pascal's character sacrifices himself because he feels so guilty of losing to Galactus, and they need to go back to that world to make them four again. That works. That actually works.
But let me ask you this: is Namor going to be present in this movie or not?
No.
I don't know. Ask Vanessa Kirby.
No.
I don't know. Oh,
they'll
ask
probably
Beta,
do
Paulo
Doomsday.
Pascal. Yeah, you
Yes,
can date my
but
wife.
there- there's a different universe too.
You can
So
date my wife.
not the no more, not the no more that we know.
Because here's the other thing. Like most people think about these characters as just being in one movie, but you got to remember that they're in six. They're six. They have their own trilogy in these little Avengers movies too. Okay, so this is just the introduction. You get Namor later, Black Panther later, Spider-Man later. They have all these little interactions with different characters that when you tie them together, you get something that can be really effective.
Well, people are speculating because they all got announced. All four of them, and plus Namor, all got announced for the Doomsday one. So the presumption is Ego. To answer your question, they're gonna come across Namor. It's happening in Doomsday. So Paulo Pascal, as we all know, the beta that he is only going to hold on to Sue Storm for so long because right on schedule, Paulo Pascal.
An alpha is gonna come in and basically,
correct.
Sue Storm,
yeah,
feel butterflies in her
correct.
stomach.
Correct. She's gonna see Namor and she's gonna see Paulo Pascal and be like, all right.
And the other way, so when you're looking at Mr. Fantastic's character arc, part of how he changes is he goes from being a character who cares more about his work than about his family. So when they tell you in the trailer that the family always make it to dinner, blah, 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 he's probably actually lying. In the comic books, he always misses dinner. Everyone else is there except for him. So part of why Sue doesn't leave him to go to Namor, she leaves him to be by herself, and Namor pursues her. It's technically how it works in the traditional comics.
Hey, it still counts, baby. It still
counts. No, you're right. It still counts. Yes.
You gotta hold that L, Reed. Hold that L.
But what I'm saying is, what happens to Reed over time is he evolves and he changes from being a man who's passive about his family to being a man who's assertive about his family. And I think almost every man can relate to that, having to adapt the way that they think to being able to be a good husband, a good boyfriend, a good father. And you see him go through that journey. That's how his character works.
If that happens from beta to alpha, I'll shut the hell up.
So, for example, they let Pedro Pascal keep his little mustache because at a certain point, he's going to turn into that bearded Reed Richards who you've never seen. Actually, no, you saw him in that multiverse movie, but that's a whole different iteration of the character. That's the more aggressive version who's more proactive about doing things.
By the way,
that's true.
He should have continued as Reed Richards. He was a way better choice than Paulo Pascal. But go ahead.
Apparently, Marvel disagreed because they didn't cast him.
That's it. Come on. That
Krasinski?
little 5 minutes. Mwah.
Well, that was the dream cast. That's why. That was
correct.
the dream.
Correct. Paulo Pascal is nobody's first choice. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, but they sat with it and they said, he can't do
that. I think that this will work better off, honestly.
Can you imagine John Krasinski against Namor? Come on now.
Correct.
Yeah, who's gonna walk away from him, bro?
Correct. My boy, the shot.
Correct. Like it doesn't make sense.
Correct. Yeah. Paulo Pascal doing math doesn't make sense. But go ahead. Good Lord, get him out the movie.
All right, hey guys. Any final comments? This video went really long. Oh my god. Any last comments before we end it? All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Whether you liked it or not, let us know in the comments. Tell us what you think. Tell us what you think about Sue Storm being the center of the attention. Tell us about the villains. We didn't get a chance to actually talk about that in this video. So tell us what you think about those that came out in the trailer. And then more than anything, keep your fandom alive and your work journey engaged. Stay fantastic. And until next time, fellow nerds, this is Nerd Breaking News.